Hey everybody, what's up? Kevin here once again from the My Song of the Day Rock 2000 to Today YouTube channel, and today we are going to be doing an album review on Motionless In White's 5th album release, Disguise. So for those of you that are new here or have forgotten how we do our album reviews, this is how it's going to go. First, I'm going to go through a little bit of a background on the album itself, along with how I've gotten to this point with Motionless In White. Then I'm going to go through each song one by one on Disguise because I have listened to the album about 4, 5, 6 times through, so I feel like I have a great grasp on how each song sounds, feels, its tempo, its pace, everything about it. So I'm going to give you my unfiltered opinion about each song. Then I will give the album a rating on a scale of 0 to 10. In video game terms, 0 is Superman 64 for the Nintendo 64, and 10 is The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time. So you'll get to see kind of where I think it lies, and I will of course tell you why I think that. I will not skip on any of the details. So let's get into it, shall we? So I first started listening to Motionless In White back at the beginning of 2019 when one of our Instagram followers and friends of everything that we do here, Evie, said, you gotta listen to Motionless In White if you haven't. So I did, and I started off with the Graveyard Shift album because I love voices, and Eternally Yours had me hooked. When they came around me in late April 2019 on their tour with Atreyu, of course I saw them, and I had a killer time at that concert, and I was excited for the new album to drop. Now, in terms of the new album, we did hear Chris talk about how this album was gonna be heavier than their other releases, but not in the way you expected. So I'm thinking heavier, but not the way you expected. We're probably not going to get as heavy of an album like Creatures, but is it going to be more emotionally driven? Is it going to be more pulse pounding? I don't know. We'll see what happens, but let's get on into it, shall we? Let's start off with the first song, the titular song, Disguise. So Disguise opens up with kind of this haunting piano style tone, and then it just goes into the style that picks up where I believe Graveyard Shift left off, so I was already into it. Listening to Chris's vocals on the song, he didn't really go fully unclean as we've heard him go in the past, but in this instance, I think it worked out rather well to really portray the message that they were trying to go with. And that message was kind of, not putting on some disguise or not putting on some kind of mask to really conform to society and really focus on what you're doing on your own and really accepting yourself for who you are. And if someone doesn't like it, well then screw them, because I associate with that mentality heavily. Also, this is just a great opening track, and that breakdown in between, the second chorus and going into, the last part of the chorus, or not the last part of the chorus, but going into it. Oh my god, the intensity is there. This was a great song to be the first single off of the album. Great song to start the album off with, and the great titular song for this album. So we're on a good start, folks. So Headache is the second song on the album, and it has this bass intro that just gets you hooked right away. I was rather surprised to see Motionless In White go with that kind of a bass intro, but it is fantastic. Now the song really kind of has this more darker tone to it, really driving home, Headache, where it's like you're inside your own head and you're trying to get out, but you're stuck in there. It creates an intensity for that with that darker tone, but not the same kind of intensity as I'll get to in a little bit. The vocals do have this desperation to them, kind of like, you're really trying to get out, you're trying to fight it, but you just can't win that battle, and I think Chris's vocals, again, really add to it. I did like the song, but in terms of how it sounded and the penetration of that style that Motionless In White has, where it really hits you in your soul, I don't think it worked as well here as they did on Disguise. So it had a little bit of a lacking punch. So instead of, that knockout punch, it was more like that shot to the gut or shot to the side, that when you're boxing, you're gonna feel it, but it's not gonna be that uppercut that knocks you down. So now we go on to Code, and when I first saw how the title is specifically, I'm thinking this has to be some kind of computer style thing, has to be something to do with some kind of techno music. And when it started out, I did get that kind of a vibe. Especially, I thought, okay, they kind of had a little bit of a techno influence there, kind of make me feel like I was in the Matrix. The song was softer, yet it had a more polished feel to it, in my opinion. Chris's vocals were much more polished on this one. So was the instrumentation. So was every single instrument about it. It had that techno feel to it. But it wasn't that hard hitting. It just didn't hit you hard. And I know Motionless In White can do a lot better on songs previously that they, have played that have hit me right in the chest and have knocked me down. Again, that song's like Disguise, which I've already mentioned, Voices, Eternally Yours, Abigail, just to name a few. So this one was lacking something, and I really didn't like it as much. Actually, I really didn't like this song at all. This is probably my least favorite song on the record. So at this point, I was like, okay, we got a good one that I'm like, maybe, and then one that I'm like, okay, this really isn't what I was hoping for, or really wasn't what I like, or what I think they could do, so I was hoping for something better right after this. Now we go on to Thoughts and Prayers, and I gotta say, this is an absolute banger of a song. This is my favorite song off of Disguise, and let me tell you why. So this song, when it starts out, the first thing I thought was, this totally has a Creatures vibe to it, which I'm so happy the band jumped back to their original album to really make this song and make that kind of style. It has this incredibly rapid instrumentation. Chris goes with those unclean vocals, especially in the verses, and it just meshes very well to that style. And of course, it's gonna have that pack-a-punch style. The chorus even has that too, as it's a little bit more clean, a little slowed down, and it just still hits you in the soul with that knockout punch, that uppercut that's gonna get you. Now, the one thing I actually really loved about this song was the message that it portrayed, especially when you're thinking Thoughts and Prayers as the title. Every time you see some kind of a tragedy, people are always saying, oh, I'm sending thoughts and prayers, thoughts and prayers. And this song is basically saying, don't send your thoughts and prayers. If you can do something about it. Don't just sit there and try and send something out there saying, oh, thoughts and prayers coming your way, and try and, virtue signal in that sense. I love the message of the song because it is a call to action. It is saying, if you have the ability to change something, if you have the ability to affect someone that's gone through something, or affect a group of people that's gone through something in a positive light, then go do it. Alright, so now we're on to Legacy, and this song sounded like it had a lot of inspiration from bands that I really like, so I was kind of high on it at first. I thought that the chorus was something that was inspired by something I could hear Skillet doing, which I have heard Skillet do something like that in the past. The rest of the song, though, between the verses and kind of the style, the pace, it sounded kind of something like Breaking Benjamin would do. Now, Breaking Benjamin can come in with these slower and more melodic songs and still hit you with that knockout punch that Motionless In White has done on songs already on this album, like Disguise and Thoughts and Prayers. However, I don't think Motionless In White really hit you with that knockout punch and really penetrated your soul with this kind of a song like Breaking Benjamin could with that kind of a style. So I think it was a little bit of a misstep, but I do respect the experimentation. I respect them trying. This song, I really like the message behind it, again, because it talks about looking at yourself and about what legacy are you going to leave, and really tells you, if you're not doing what you want to do in life right now, why aren't you doing it? It makes you really look at yourself and makes you accountable for yourself. So, I like the message, I like the experimentation, but I just don't think they hit the mark. So now we go on to Undead Ahead 2, The Tale of the Midnight Ride. It was the third single off of the album, and of course this is a direct sequel to the original Undead Ahead, which was featured on the Creatures album back in 2011. Now, this is the closest thing we actually have to something that's off of Creatures, and at first I really wasn't big on the song just because I thought, it's kind of, just a sequel. After I listened to the album, 5-6 times through, and I thought, you know what, this isn't that bad, but I just really can't associate myself with it. It just really didn't hit home for me because, again, I'm comparing it to the original Undead Ahead. The biggest thing that the song has going for it is it really shows that Chris has that vocal range still to this day that he had back in 2011. Holding On to Smoke was something that really still, you could tell that there was Creatures influence in there, but it really had this more held back and, laid back kind of tone to it that I wasn't used to from Motionless In White. When I heard parts of the chorus, though, all I could think about was, I have heard this before on I Will Not Bow by Breaking Benjamin. So again, another Breaking Benjamin influenced song. I was not the biggest fan of this one overall because, again, it just did not have any sort of punch to it. It just did not really make you feel like anything. So this one was something I thought, this was kind of more of a throwaway song, in my opinion. It was another anthem about self-acceptance. However, when it comes to an anthem for self-acceptance, I thought the band really hit it hard on Disguise, and that's the one I'm feeling pretty good about right now. So Disguise, definitely over Holding On Smoke. Now, before I get into Another Life, the morning of, a lot of people were telling me that this was their favorite song off of the album. Now, this is before I listened to it. I mean, I woke up at 5:30 in the morning and people were already listening to it, and this was a lot of people's favorite song. So I wanted to take a look at why. It really had this deconstructed feel to it in comparison to a lot of other Motionless in White songs. I'd never really heard them go down this direction. I wasn't necessarily sure how I felt about it after the first 2 listens. I thought, I don't know why people are really picking this as their favorite song, but after I listened to it the 3rd time, oh man, did I really feel it. Are you kidding me? This was a song I couldn't believe. It really did have that Breaking Benjamin vibe to it again, where it came to that slower melodic tone, but it was still hard and it was emotionally driven. It gave you that knockout punch. Chris's vocals didn't really go unclean at all in this one, but they just hit you so hard, and it really drove the message behind it. Now, from what I found out, this song was really made off of Chris's past relationships, to the point where it's, in another life we could have been together, in another life we could have really done something, but it just didn't work out that way, and I'm sorry. And it just, you really think about that as well. And this really brings back any kind of emotion if you were ever had some significant person in your life, whether it was a significant other, whether you're married, had a girlfriend, boyfriend, whatever it may be, that was very important to your life and now is not there, and you're always thinking about an alternate scenario or another life with that person and what it would be like. Am I guilty of that? Yeah, I am definitely guilty of having those kind of feelings as well. And when I heard this song, I was not sure that a song could actually bring that out in me and make me feel all those feelings again. But Another Life completely accomplished that, and I was in utter shock. So, Broadcasting from Beyond the Grave had the same kind of style that Brand New Numb had, except it was a lot harder. Now, why do I say that before I even get to Brand New Numb? Because Brand New Numb was a single, and this one was not, so Brand New Numb came out first, so I kind of already had that feeling. I'm like, oh, this might be a copycat one, but that's from the offset of it. This thing hits with that ferocity again. This one really has that knockout punch, and Chris's vocals just are all over the place, but they are completely warranted, and they hit hard on every single aspect. Now, this was the style I thought that they were going to really go with when they said, this is going to be harder than any of their other albums, because this song just went right at it, went right for the throat, and just hits it hard. Now, when I was thinking about the song, in terms of what it was really trying to go after, I think it again was going after that counterculture that's really going against the pop-centric culture of today that's in the masses. And so if you remember that counterculture that really doesn't go with the public, you're okay. And you have a voice, and this song just makes you feel like you can run through a wall or this door. So, yeah, I like this one. So now, Brand New Numb. This was the second single off of the album. When I first heard this song, I really had trouble getting into it. I just really couldn't grasp it. It just wasn't something I really liked. Now, after I heard it played live, it was something I really could connect with a little bit more. It had this more smooth transition. It had this flow to it that I really hadn't heard in a lot of Motionless in White songs up to this point. I mean, a flow like Eternally Yours, you're not going to get that all the time, but this is probably the closest thing we have to a great flow on a Motionless in White song. I'm talking, just fluid. Now, the chorus gives you that new kind of feel, because I've really never heard, most of I really do something with that, with that, I am the enemy, I am the enemy. It just kind of drives you forward, and I thought, yeah, I totally get this. This is great. The one problem with the song I have is I have no clue what it's talking about. I have no clue what the message is behind it, and I'm still having trouble with it even after analyzing the lyrics. So I'm not even going to try to interpret it. I'm not. So Carthasis was the last song on the album, and it had this more of an experimental indie metal, indie rock vibe to it. The key in which the instruments were played in was a little bit higher than what I'm used to from Motionless in White, so it really didn't have that intensity or really have that knockout punch that I was used to from the band. So I'm like, okay, let's have a listen to it, let's see what happens. It does show off a lot of Chris's vocal range, but I really don't think it really does it justice here, just because it kind of wasn't all there. It didn't have this completeness feel. And after listening to the song, I felt this real emptiness. I'm like, wait, that's what you're going to end the album with? Are you kidding me? I don't really feel like this was a song you're going to be like, this is an end to this album that is hard emotionally. I'm just like, what am I doing? Is it over? But was that the key for the band? I don't know. Was that what they were going for? I don't know. I really don't get the message behind this one either. Or was that the point? I don't know. Alrighty, now time for my rating of Disguised by Motionless in White, and I'm gonna give Disguise a 7.5 out of 10. Alright, so why am I giving Motionless In White's Disguise a 7.5 out of 10? Well, I actually gave it like a 6.5 out of 10, but as I kept listening to the songs a little bit more and more and really getting those emotions down with it, I had to up it because they hit you nice and hard, and it just is something I wasn't expecting, especially on one song, which I'll talk about at the end. Now, I like how they took some of these styles from Creatures and from Graveyard Shift and really meshed them together and really made songs that, you know, encompass all that Motionless In White is, songs like Disguise, Headache, and Thoughts and Prayers. Now, the other thing I really liked about this was they really were able to pack that powerful knockout punch that other great songs they have, like Voices, Eternally Yours, Abigail, Immaculate Misconception, Reincarnate, America, have been able to do. And that's songs like, again, Disguise, Thoughts and Prayers, and Broadcasting from Beyond the Grave. I really did enjoy that. I also enjoyed the fact they were able to experiment with certain sounds from other bands and really try and create something else. Sounds like Skillet or sounds like Breaking Benjamin, especially them, due to the fact that they try to go with Breaking Benjamin's more melodic and softer, not softer, but slower approach, but still have that knockout punch, and sometimes it worked. But what I dislike about it was sometimes that knockout punch wasn't there. Sometimes it just didn't work. And songs like Code, Legacy, and Holding On to Smoke, I just think they really did not have that knockout punch. It just didn't penetrate you like any of their other songs did. And now Catharsis is probably the biggest thing I have in this album. I'm like, you know what? I am not big on it at all because it gave you that empty feel. You just did not care for it. I just didn't care for it. It just, I just didn't think it really fit well in there at all. I still have no idea what they're going for. Now, the reason that bumped up from that 6.5 to 7.5 is definitely Another Time, or Another Life, I should say. Why was I going to say Another Time? Another Life, just due to the fact that how emotionally driven it was, and it really made you think after a while, and it took you to a place where a lot of us have already been, and a lot of us really don't want to go back to. But if you do go back to it right now, you might not have that same emotion to it. It might be a little bit more numbed down or dumbed down or whatever you want to call it. But my God, did it just come back in full force. So I had to give this album a 7.5 out of 10. Is it in a contention for top album of the year up to this point through the first half of 2019? Yeah, I think it is, especially being on par with something like Get Scared, The Dead Days, or The Fever 333, Strength in Numbers. I think it's in contention, but I'm not quite sure if it really tops those right now. Well, alrighty, that's it for me. Thank you for watching the My Song of the Day Rock 2000 to Today album review on Disguise by Motionless In White. If you think I did a good job, give me that like button. But if you think I did a bad job, give me that dislike button. But put in the comments why you think I did good or bad, because I want to hear what you have to say. Now, if you're not subscribed to our YouTube channel, please do that by hitting that button. No, not the big one. The little one right there. And that bell icon, because you'll be notified when we release videos every single Wednesday and some special Monday ones. Now, if you're not following us on social media, what in the actual heck, yes, I said heck, are you doing? You gotta follow us on all our social media pages. Link to the description below. We've got our Facebook page. You know, we kind of just drive a lot of traffic through there. Our Twitter page where we connect with you guys on what's going on in music and like to talk to you guys. And our Instagram page where we also connect with you guys and tell you what's going on in music and try and get your take on things. We also do a lot more connecting there in terms of our Small Band Saturday project, our IGTV videos, and our Instagram live streams, which happen every single Wednesday night at 9 p.m. Central. So go follow all those. Links in the description below. Also, I've got a podcast called the Chord Progression Podcast where we do a much more deep dive into the week that was, and we actually get to talk to you guys as well. I've talked to fans, I've talked to smaller bands, hoping to get some bigger bands on here, and, you know, get those smaller bands even bigger. And I'd love for you guys to listen to it. We're on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Play, and here on YouTube if you want to get it here on YouTube. Links for all the three that aren't YouTube are in the description below, because you're already on YouTube, you know where it is. So, woohoo! And lastly, if you have an Amazon Alexa and you are not subscribed to My Song of the Day, Rock 2000 Day Alexa skill, what are you doing? I cannot believe you are not on that right now, because it is a great way to start your day with a new song every single day. And you can find new bands, rediscover old bands, rediscover bands you know, but new songs, and just start your day off great, or get through that middle of the day blues, or end your day with some great rock music. All you got to do is click the link in the description below and activate the skill. And then all I say is, hey Alexa, did she turn on? Yep, she's turned. Hey Alexa, stop. She stopped. Then you just say, play my song of the day. And Alexa will do that. had to make sure she didn't turn on again, because otherwise that'd be weird. And she will play a song of the day, and you'll get a 5-second intro from yours truly, just telling you what day it is, getting you into the song, and then boom, you're gonna hear the song in its entirety. Once it's done, it's done. You want to hear it again? Just do the exact same thing. And I really appreciate all your support, guys. I truly do, every single bit about it. I can't thank you enough for subscribing, following, and just supporting me through this journey, supporting this community as it grows, the best rock community on the internet. I love you guys. Thank you very much. And that's it for me. Thank you for watching. I'm Kevin from the My Song of the Day Rock 2000 to Today YouTube channel. You guys know I end all these videos, so why change it up? Hat flip. See ya!